I was going to go with the classic Shut the Up t-shirt for today for CPAC for Velveeta Voldemort speaking today. But I decided...
He's not till Sunday.
Right, yeah. So I'll wear it Monday. You can always reuse that. It's at stephaniemiller.com.
Right.
Right. Even when he's gone, these shut the up, Johnny, because just how much it's lodged in our brain. But I decided to go with the I will resist sexism, homophobia, transphobia, etc., racism t-shirt because in honor of we have Representative Angie Craig, the first lesbian mom in Congress, to talk about the Equality Act. Also, I'm going to need more isms to fit on this t-shirt to fit today's Republicans, right? Because they're aren't they making up new? They're just horrible, mean people. Can we just say that? I don't think it's. I don't. Okay, I don't think it's partisan anymore. They're just really horrible, mean bullies. They're douchey. It's not just QAnon Betty and her high school. Like I'm going to put my anti-trans right. Putting an anti-trans sign across from a woman who has a trans child, it's just mean. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
Yeah. They're the Yahoo comment section personified.
Yes, that's what my T-shirt is. It's a lot. It covers a lot of isms, but it's hard to. We saw it. It was quite a buffet yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sexism, racism, transphobia, homophobia. I'm sorry. What, Travis?
Rand Paul over in the Senate.
Yes,
when it was
Rand Paul is
different.
right. I was getting to that in just a moment. Just let Mama speak. Okay. Yes, Rand Paul also awful. It's hard for someone to be as awful as their hair, and he manages every day to reach that bar.
That's a lot of hair.
Yeah. Yes, he was talking to our first trans nominee for. I'm sorry. I'm Deputy Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, pediatrician. She's fantastic. Anyway, he was comparing trans surgery to genital mutilation, and it's a mixture of stupidity and meanness and racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia. It's like a big ball of okay. All right, so and CPAC starts today. Hooray! And I can't wait to talk to our ecclesiastical mook because they literally made Donald Trump into a golden calf. They literally just wheeled in a statue of him as a golden. It's a golden Trump in I don't know patriotic boxer shorts or something.
And sandals.
Yes, it is a statue made of gold. I will ask John if there's anything about that in the Bible.
I think in the Bible that doesn't end well.
No.
I just want to let them know that it doesn't end well.
It does not.
Yeah.
It does not.
No.
Okay. And they're just, it's like cowardice and meanness just runs through the whole party. Mitch McConnell, what did we say about why you can't trust Mitch McConnell? He's a criminal who belongs in prison. I think the criminal justice system ought to pursue him. He didn't go away with anything. Yeah. Are you going to vote for him? Oh, absolutely. I will vote for him if he's the nominee in 2024. Oh my God! Can you be and a turtle at the same time? Yeah. What a giant sea turtle!
Well, okay. Yes, he is a real
sea turtle. Yes.
I don't think he thinks Trump is going to get.
Yes. That's why it's even more craven. I've been saying that. That's why it's even more craven. Is this? Yeah. They know he's going to be dead or in prison. Oh please. He'll be too infirm. He's in horrible health. All of it. But it makes it even. I couldn't believe it. He both belongs in prison, and you'll support him if he's the nominee. Okay, really?
Yeah. But historically, I don't think a one-term president has come back and won election again.
No.
I think being a one-term president damages a person so much that they can't come back from that.
And someone who lost one of the biggest landslides ever, and I don't know, this current president has one of the highest approval ratings already, right? I mean, okay. And everything he is proposing has approval ratings through the roof, right? It is, Oh, here's something else. Barbara tweeted, the price tag to repair the Capitol after Trump incited an insurrection is $30 million. Really? We can't pay people $15 an hour, but that's on our tab? He should get that bill, right? And that's counting, right?
Right.
And hello, the Capitol Police woman, who's the acting head, just said yesterday, oh yeah, they want to blow up the Capitol and kill everybody for the State of the Union. So that's why that's going to need to continue, right? The fencing and the National Guard and the whatever, because they won't say, as we keep saying, the one true sentence, this was not a stolen election. And he's going to go repeat the big lie this weekend at CPAC, right? And they're all going to parrot the lie.
Yep.
Yeah.
The matter-of-fact way that Capitol Police Chief said that was incredibly chilling.
Yes.
She said, yes, they're planning on blowing up the Capitol.
But this is Mitch McConnell. He's not going to do a real 9/11 commission. He doesn't. It's like, why? You can't trust anything. He just said that, as somebody said, for donors or whatever, didn't vote for impeachment. He's not going to allow a real bipartisan 9/11 commission because he knows Republicans are complicit and it's going to implicate Republicans. So it's just,
everything Republicans do is for donors and getting more donations. That is the only thing they care about.
Power. Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, all they care about is retaining their position. All Mitch cares about is getting the Senate back.
And they retain that position by getting as much money as they can from their gullible donors.
Yeah. Alex tweets, CPAC is hilarious year. The theme is America uncanceled, but they've already canceled multiple speakers for not loving Trump enough. You cannot write this stuff. You cannot.
True.
Oh my God, I don't. Okay.
I can't. I literally
cannot even. This is why I'm in a mood this morning over the.
I can tell.
Who's even heard of the parliamentarian saying? So it's and I agree with our friend Pramila Jayapal, who said Americans are hurting so much, they're not going to care about this was Susan Collins, whatever, and this wasn't a bipart. We had to use reconciliation or blah. Or the parliamentarian didn't like the blah. They're going to, they're going to care about whether we deliver what we ran on, and it is so infuriating, right? This whole $15 an hour is what 60% of Americans. Am I quoting that right? Almost everything Democrats are trying to get done is wildly popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said last night on Rachel, they were talking about in Florida, Donald Trump barely beat Biden, but minimum wage increase passed by overwhelming numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what Rachel was leaning into last night without just outright saying it, was that we need to lean into this. If it can't be a part of the COVID relief, then we need to make them vote on this. We need to make them vote against minimum wage increases in the House and in the Senate. Yeah. Because that's something we can run on in 2 years.
Malcolm Nance. Hi, sailor. Come aboard, won't you?
Oh, hi.
I've been seeing you all over the TV, and it's never good news. I'm like, oh no, what happened? Malcolm's on everywhere. Remember when I first saw those bedroom eyes on Brian Williams? I'm like, who is that Matt? I must have him.
I'm on for good reasons these days, helping explain some of the right-wing craziness that's going on. Because who knows where this is going to go? You don't want to see me when there's a terrorist attack, right?
But, Malcolm, thank you for cutting through the bull as usual on Twitter yesterday, and I'm sure you will in your House Judiciary testimony today. Somebody tweeted the January 6th attack is not, someone you retweeted, much of today's Capitol security hearing is framing January 6th as an intelligence failure, which makes little sense. This was planned in plain sight for months. Trump's incitement was public, as we reported last month. It was just not taken seriously. And you just said this is true. The January 6th attack was not an intelligence failure. It was deliberately ignored by Trump national security apparatus because they were white Trump supporters. The protest goal to storm the Hill was heard as early as December 14th. I mean, this is just, yesterday was a waste of time. All finger pointing and CYA and Hawley and Cruz, who are, complicit, trying to clear themselves. I mean, it was, anyway, go ahead. Your thoughts.
Well, I'm sure you've already spent most of the morning hammering Ron Johnson for his ridiculous remarks. I mean, this fiction, which started the night of the riot by Trump himself, saying that he told Kevin McCarthy he had heard that this was Antifa. You know, and McCarthy, who was locked into the building, said no, they were all MAGA. This is now their methodology for taking the blame and pushing it elsewhere. And you know what? People are going to be trying to pass legislation to ban Antifa. Where is it? In Alabama or Arkansas, where they now want to make it a felony if you block an interstate, or if you're a protester, they can hold you for 24 hours without bail for just doing protesting. Now, of course, that doesn't apply to the dozens and dozens of people that have been arrested thus far, and the 500 cases the FBI have of people that committed insurrection in the Capitol. But this is where we get into this point where the politics is so detached from reality that we cannot even move forward, because they're beyond the big lie. They're creating a bigger lie of that they weren't involved. 40,000 people who our own lying eyes saw.
And also, Malcolm, their defenses are ridiculous. I mean, Lindsey Graham going on Fox and going, well, see, this is why, this was pre-planned. This is why Trump's speech, could not have incited it. You're like, our whole case was that it was pre-planned. You're proving our case. Like, no one ever said it was just Trump's speech that caused this. That's the whole case, is that it was pre-planned by Trump, among others, right? And, I mean, as you say, it was all out in the open. It was emails, save the date, January 6th, going to be wild. It's in tweets, it's in emails, right?
Absolutely. And, this was originally, it was called the March for Trump. Then it changed its name to Fight for Trump. And then, informally, it was known as Storm the Hill. And we had seen it for a month leading up to this. And again, this detachment from reality has now worked its way into their actual political demagoguery. And I suspect within a month, they will all swear that no conservatives took part in the attack on the Capitol. That sounds like a little hyperbole, but I think they're moving to that as an actual platform, that they're going to start publicly blaming Antifa and probably calling for inquiries on Antifa and what they did during the Capitol attack.
Yeah. Well, Ron Johnson, Aaron Rupar tweeted it first yesterday. Ron Johnson is using his questioning time to promote conspiracy theory that the insurrectionists weren't actually Trump supporters, but were provocateurs and fake Trump protesters. Direct Russian disinformation. Jim Sciutto said a sitting senator, member of the committee charged with defending the homeland, is lying about a terrorist attack, contradicting the witnesses before him and every law enforcement agency. Will his party censure him or sanction him in any way? I'm going to guess the answer is no. I mean, the fact that he and Cruz and Hawley are on the committee, I mean, it's insane.
They're going to pretty soon, whether they label themselves this or we label it for them, they're going to be the insurrectionist bloc, right?
Yeah.
The insurrectionist caucus. They understand the power of the anger and the paranoia of their base. They know it, especially Ted Cruz. I mean, of all the people, Josh Hawley has quickly learned that you have to harness this fear and anger and inner hatred, and which will propel you to the top of the leadership. They also understand that the old tenets of the Republican Senate, that they were supposed to be the loyal opposition and the right-wing cooling saucer, that's done. Mitch McConnell will be out eventually. And these people fully intend to take control of the Senate and make it into the worst of what the Senate of the House of Representatives used to be. Yeah. It will be nothing more than an actual block of senators whose sole function is obstruction. They won't make anything. But you have to understand, they plan on taking back the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
They plan on taking back the Senate and the White House. And right now, their strategy is quintuple down
and on voter suppression and on stopping black people from voting. That's what they learned from the Capitol riots. Legal lad Harry Litman is here all the way from the fine city of San Diego. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, Steph.
I'm
ready to opine.
Is that your nerd voice? You have known Merrick Garland for 35 years. You work closely with him at the DOJ. And so, first of all, Harry, I said this to open the show. I can see why they were afraid to give him a hearing for a Supreme Court justice. He is everything people like you have been saying he is.
He's one of a kind. He's a paragon of excellence, but also integrity, but also judgment, but also decency. You know, I've never seen him put his pants on, but I'm not sure it's one leg at a time. He's everything, you know, they say, and he's so he's so decent. Now, of course, he's also Mr. Rule of Law. So for your sexy liberal friends, you know, law enforcement's a bit of a conservative enterprise. There will be programs and stuff, but he's going to put people in jail.
Yeah.
And, you know, not completely overhaul the mission of the Department of Justice. But he's a straight shooter, he's great. He's great.
I mean, I love the straight line he drew, Harry, between Oklahoma City, and Tim McVeigh, which he prosecuted, to January 6th, and that it will be his number one priority. And finally, our number one priority at the Department of Justice is our number one threat, white supremacist right-wing terrorism, as Chris Wray and how many others have been saying now for years, right?
Yeah, and he said he drew two lines, right? He said there's a line that goes from Oklahoma City to 2021. There's a line that goes backwards from Oklahoma City to 1871. And it's really true. We are in an era that really has echoes of the immediate Reconstruction period with the Ku Klux Klan which was the real sort of explosion of not white supremacy is almost it's too pale a word. White terrorism of the newly freed slaves that gave rise to the Department of Justice, to laws that we still use. So that was very telling that he had that touchstone. I thought he's saying, you know, look, there's the basic mission of equal justice under law. You know, much remains to be done.
Yeah, and you also called it White House. Big question is looking upstream regarding Trump at all. We will pursue these leads wherever they take us. You thought that was the biggest news from the hearing so far. I was hoping if he just looked pointedly at Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Will you be looking upstream?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, Senator, what anything you say could be. But I mean, look, I have been saying this for weeks, but you're going to hear calls as soon as Trump's involved for special counsel. But what he was saying was really the prerogative of the Department of Justice, in the sense that you cannot do a comprehensive, aggressive investigation, as they must do, to all the insurrectionists, all the lowlifes, and then ignore the possibility that Trump Jr., you know, hero or zero, Giuliani, trial by combat, were involved. And nor can you farm out that little piece of it. It really is all part and parcel. You're going to find once you start bringing these people to trial, they're going to be pointing the finger at Trump, if only for tactical reasons, trying to subpoena him. But that itself is going to be a bit of a hornet's nest when, you know, just they're going to call people in the grand jury, who were, say, hanging around Trump in the afternoon when he was supposedly delighted. They're going to investigate wherever it goes. And that White House, who asked him this question, you know, he's a former U.S. attorney. He knew just what he was talking about and what Garland would say. And, you know, Garland didn't have to say it, but there were 3 or 4 things he didn't have to say that he said anyway. And that was one of them. That means Don't come to me for a special counsel on Donald Trump. This is us. This is what we do. And it's part of the whole thing that is my number one priority.
Well, you pointed out on Twitter a bunch of, you said, draws a strong personal line of independence. You know, a few moments you said, I think the policy of separating migrant parents from their children was shameful. I mean, it really was, I mean, I imagine for you, Harry, who's, you know, worked in the Department of Justice, just the message that sent to everybody at the Department of Justice that the Department of Justice is back. Justice is back in America.
I mean, I worked there. 115,000 people still work there, and there must have been high fives and jubilation. He really put it. He didn't just say I'm behind them. He at one point he said my job is standing behind them and protecting them. And you know, because they've been beaten up terribly, including by their own bosses, the last few years, and by the nature of their job, they can't be out there defending themselves. It really is a big part of his job, and it must have been just a moment of, you know, exultation for them to hear it.
I mean, you also talked, like everybody did, about, you said, remarkable emotional moment from Judge Garland on fleeing the Holocaust and his gratitude to the country. That was just an extraordinary moment, wasn't it?
Wasn't it lovely? Jeez. Yeah. You know, I had the feeling that I got asked on TV yesterday, was I surprised? When I got the feeling that he was surprised. You know, you're in public, you start saying something and you feel suddenly you're going to be choking up, but you got to get through it. And it led to this kind of halting cadence and just, you know, they took us in, that was one part. And when he really took it and protected us, you know, the feeling deep in their bones of like when a government is there to terrorize or you know, torture and kill you, and the nakedness of it and then to come and have protection of government. It really, I thought, was so resonant of, you know, the importance of government as protecting people, and he was, of course, referring now to you know, people on the short end of the stick going forward. But wasn't what a beautiful sort of real, you know, 20 seconds that was. It was.
This is our first time that we get Representative Angie Craig, who is the first lesbian mom in Congress and incredibly proud to help introduce the Equality Act, which just passed yesterday. Representative Craig, good morning.
Good morning, Stephanie. I'm so proud to be here.
Oh, I'm so proud to have you. We were so excited. I was very excited. I can only think of mean things to say to my producer, and I was so happy he booked you. I'm going to be nice to him for the rest of the week. Oh, it's Friday.
That's great. That's great.
So, listen, I'm wearing my I Resist shirt, sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, but it seems like they're all on display with our Republican friends. I mean, I don't know what to say that only in 2021, only 3 Republicans voted for the Equality Act. That's less than last time. What is happening with your Republican colleagues, do you think?
It's hard to know. Well, that's not really true. It's easy to know. It's the base of the Republican Party has become far-right activists. It's the Q crowd. I mean, just look at what happened this week with Representative Newman and my colleague from across the aisle. It's really embarrassing. And if they think that's where their voters really are, they're wrong. I represent a district that's slightly Republican in Minnesota.
Right. And that's the other thing I said at the top of the show, Representative, isn't insulting someone's children, is that something that's not partisan? It's just mean. It's just, I don't even know what to say about, you know, with Donald Trump being gone, the sort of just meanness that we see from that side of the aisle, and racism, sexism, homophobia, racism, all the stuff we've been dealing with, right?
Well, we've seen this week. I mean, bullying trans youth in order to advance your hateful agenda, it's disgraceful. I mean, you know, let's just back up from that, because I don't want to give my colleague across the aisle that we're talking about too much oxygen.
Yeah.
These young people already face enough adversity without hearing this kind of vitriol from a member of Congress.
Right.
I mean, look, for every person like my colleague who directs that kind of hate to these young people, we need millions of us across the country to offer our affirmation and our support to the trans community in particular. We've got to step forward and say, we see you, we love you, and we will not stop fighting for you.
Yeah. Well, I just thought we were beyond this, I guess, in 2021. I mean, you see the polling. I saw you somewhere yesterday, and I loved how you were talking about, you said, my wife and I and our children, we've created a beautiful life together. I mean, and isn't that just a human thing? I mean, I just don't know people that want to prevent people from just living and loving who they've been creating a family with whoever they want to. It just seems like that's such a basic freedom.
Well, and it's in opposition to how many of my neighbors in a Republican district feel. Look, I did say yesterday, my wife Cheryl and I, we built this beautiful life together. We raised 4 sons who we love dearly. Together, they're between the ages of 18 and 23 now, and we're fortunate. We live in Minnesota. It's a state that has already enshrined so many of the laws of the portions of the Equality Act that would change the law. But in 27 states in this nation, you can still be denied housing because of sexual orientation or gender identity. You can, in 31 states, you can be denied access to education. So, this is personal to me. My wife and I, we're lucky to live in Minnesota. I'm incredibly grateful to represent this beautiful Minnesota district, but right now it would be entirely legal should we live somewhere else for us to be discriminated against.
Yeah. I mean, and I live here in LA, and I'm a gay woman, and I think that, it doesn't occur to me sometimes about discrimination, but that does exist in 2021 in terms of, in a lot of places. Let me tell you one degree of separation we have. You obviously passed the Equality Act yesterday, which would amend the 1964 Civil Rights Act. My dad worked on that. He was a congressman who ran with Barry Goldwater in '64, and Barry Goldwater was wrong on that, but my dad was right. He actually worked on the '64 Civil Rights Act, and he's been gone since '83, Representative. But he and Barry Goldwater has a great gay grandson. This is not my dad and Goldwater's party anymore. I mean, I can only imagine what my dad would feel if his daughter could get fired or be discriminated against in housing or restaurants. I mean, it's just insane on a human level, I think.
It is, and harkening back to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, it was John Lewis who, in our caucus before his death in the 116th Congress, who went to the Congressional Black Caucus and advocated for us to open up the 64 Civil Rights Act to include LGBTQ Americans. And, that was a big deal because, opening up the 64 Civil Rights Act, my colleagues across the aisle could have had all kinds of nonsense tried to pull as a result of that. But John Lewis led that charge here before his death, and I just
and God bless him, Representative, because we know out here in California, there's always been an effort to pit, particularly religious blacks against gay people out here when we were fighting for marriage equality, right? To try to go, well, it's being black isn't a choice before we get to the point where we're like, well, being gay isn't either. Right. You're right. It is a beautiful thing John Lewis did, right?
Well, it is. And, the opposition tried that line of attack in Minnesota in 2012 when Republicans put an amendment that would have outlawed same-sex marriage on the ballot. And we fought it with love. I mean, that was it. We fought it with this idea that every single one of us should have the opportunity to love someone else, to make a commitment to them, that our values, our shared values, are the same. And look, people have been using religion and God through the years to make the case that black folks shouldn't be allowed to eat in a restaurant or ride on a bus.
Right.
We yesterday, it was so much nonsense on the House floor, but in the end, we passed it again. And I was so proud to be up on the Speaker's dais and gavel it home.
Yeah.